So this truck is a 2008. I imagine it's a F250, but I'm not sure. And it won't crank as well. Note the security light blinking. So this truck thinks it's stolen. No crank condition. So let's connect the scanner and see what codes it's got. So let's see if this one will ID. Check engine light is on this one. Battery light is on. Oil pressure light is on. Looks like it's not going to ID. I think we got a communication there. I was trying to pull up the mileage on it and it's blank. It did ID the vehicle, so we're going to continue with the code scan. But I can't get the mileage out of it. Theft detected, engine disabled. Lost communication with the IPC. Well, the instrument panel is part of the, it might be part of the security on this system. Okay, that's the end of this. Code scan. Lost communication with the instrument panel. Transfer case problems. GEM module. Faulty control module. So we've got communication with the GEM module. Let's try see if we can communicate with the instrument cluster. Instrument cluster. Let's turn the key back on. Codes menu. Memory codes. Continue. No communication with the instrument cluster. No point doing a key on engine off test. So I'll have a look at the instrument cluster is awake. Actually, no, the gauges aren't reading at all. They're all stuck at 0. Fuel gauge looks like it's working though. I don't know if it's supposed to go through a segment here. The fuel gauge is working. Warning lights are on. Well, let's check fuses for this now. So there's at least 2 fuses. F26 10 amp, hot at all times, and F36 5 amps. And they're down in the fuse panel down here. So you would think that being inside the truck it would be protected from the elements. But there's no cover over this. This cover is missing. It's got some kind of fuse cheater connected in here going somewhere, who knows. And I don't know which fuse is which because, oh, here we go, here's the cover. So it says fuse 26 and 30. I gotta look at it better. So fuse 26 is this one, and 36 is that one. So we're gonna check those 2 fuses. I was trying to read it on this cover here and had a difficult time, so I pulled up this image. 26 and 36. So in the legend here, the fuse 36, which is tests okay by the way, says 5 amp, is Pat's transceiver cluster control. So that explains why the Pat's is down, because the cluster is partially down. So here it says it's a 5 amp fuse. So the fuses test fine, although they're, you know, the fuse panel down here is pretty oxidized. Let's see where the instrument cluster ground is. I think it's on the left A pillar down there, and it's probably compromised. So this shows an instrument cluster ground at G300. Usually 300's in the cab, but this might be at the A pillar. I'm going to look. So G300 is on the left A pillar. So I think this is the ground here, and it's not loose. It doesn't appear to be oxidized, but there's a couple of wires here. I don't know where they go. One was attached to ground and corroded off. Another one was just hanging in here. It was just tucked up like this. Regardless, that's got nothing to do with it, I doubt. Well, the next step is to remove the instrument cluster. So this is the back of the instrument cluster connector. That's pin 1. That's battery power, and pin 14 above it is key switch power. They both test good. Pin 6 is the ground, and using the power from pin 1 and using pin 6 as a ground, we don't have a ground. Yet I'm pretty sure that was down by the A pillar down here, unless I missed it, unless there's more than one. So it turns out my test light wasn't making a ground, or not the test light, but the alligator clip wasn't making a ground in that test probe. So pin 6 tests okay, it lights the test light. So pin 1 and 14 test okay, pin 6 tests okay, at least it lights a test light. That's the only ground that I see on here. But we do have medium speed CAN bus on pin 5 and high speed CAN bus on 7 and 8. So we're going to check for CAN activity on pin 7 and 8. So pin 4 and 5 is low speed CAN bus, and 7 and 8 is high speed CAN bus. So I only have one test lead, so I'll have to do one at a time. So that's the activity on CAN high on pin 7. That doesn't look very good. And the activity on CAN low is a mirror image of that, but it doesn't look good either. I'm going to set up to check terminating resistance. So measuring between the high speed and low speed CAN bus and 7 and 8, and it rates 126 ohms. So maybe I didn't have a good ground when I was checking that CAN signal. Pins 4 and 5, medium speed CAN bus 124, so I'm going to recheck that CAN signal. I just had a brain fart. I looked at both of those CAN bus terminating resistance with the battery disconnected, and they were both 120. It should be 60 plus or minus 2. Oh man, it's too late in the day. So there is a problem with the CAN network. I wonder if they go through a common connector and there's a corroded connection down here. So terminating resistance across the CAN bus network should be about 60 ohms plus or minus 2. I'm measuring 126 across the high-speed CAN bus, so that means there's an open somewhere in it. I measured the same terminating resistance across the medium speed CAN, about 123 ohms, which indicates there's an open in it. So I wonder if we have a common connector that's corroded. So both the high speed and low speed CAN bus networks go through connector 212, which is in the bottom right hand corner of the A pillar on the passenger side. And I'm going to graph the resistance while I move that connector. I got it on a graphing multimeter. Oh, got to disconnect turn the key off. Got the odometer reading the CAN bus signal. Not good. Okay, so I'm reading 127 ohms. I'm going to move this connection. Look at that. I'm moving this connection right here. Well, let's take that apart and see what's compromised in there. So these two wires are the medium speed CAN bus, violet and orange, and gray and orange, and probably, what's this? That looks kind of pregnant. Let's see what color the wires are for the high speed CAN bus. White and white blue by looks of it. White and white blue. I wonder if that's the one that looks pregnant here. That wire right there looks kind of compromised. No, it's these two here that are high-speed CAN bus. Those two, white and white blue on the outside corner. Oh, look at the green corrosion. The back of the wire is corroded. That's those two in the corner. So we're gonna bypass that. Actually, we're trying to clean it. So I actually forgot that one of the terminating resistors is in the instrument cluster. Measuring the network resistance at the cluster connector should read 120. But inadvertently I found the problem. It was at that connector. but it's still reading 71, so I'm going to try manipulating this connector still. It doesn't change. It runs now. We got communication with the instrument cluster and the odometer reading on the dash, so that's the problem. Worst case scenario, we could bypass this connector by connecting this white wire with this white wire and this white blue wire with the white blue wire on the other side of the connector, bypass the terminals in here. I'm going to let them deal with that, but it seems to be running now.